Okay, so let me start with this. You know how it kind of feels like the world is on fire lately? I swear, Okay, how are you not dead, sir? I swear, every year feels exponentially worse than the last. Maybe I'm tripping, but that's genuinely how it feels. And with everything going on right now, especially with conflicts in the Middle East, there's something about the situation that fascinates me. Like, governments are trying to evacuate their citizens from dangerous areas, which is totally understandable. But then you start hearing about a lot of the people who are stuck there, and many of them are what you would call expats. You know the term, right? Expats are basically immigrants from wealthier countries who move to other countries, often places with lower taxes or cheaper living, to improve their lifestyle, save money, and avoid certain taxes. And sometimes it's about the quality of life, and sometimes it's purely financial. You can pick your choice or reason. And here's the part that gets interesting. A lot of these people move abroad and aren't paying taxes back home anymore. Or at least they structure things so they pay very little, but when something goes wrong, like conflict breaking out, their home country suddenly mobilizes resources to get them out. Like, take the UK for example. I'm gonna show you a clip right about now.
British taxpayers are paying to protect tax exiles in Dubai and elsewhere in the Middle East. So Ed joins me now. Ed, I suppose the answer is because they're British.
Yes, we should protect them. I was really clear in the House that we absolutely owe a duty to them. They are British. But I think it's also a duty for the rest of our country that they pay their taxes. And I think many people have been rather alarmed, you've mentioned it yourself, that we are now going to pay for them to be protected, rightly, but they should start paying. I think it's a complete principle that we should all agree with. If they benefit from that protection, they should contribute towards it.
So they're contributing really towards the defence side of public spending. Does this mean some kind of exit tax for people proposing to leave the UK?
There's many ways one could do it. If you look at the way America does it, there's no exit tax. It's how they are taxed on their income. And so we could learn from the American system and get all the details right. But the principle that they should pay if they're benefiting from British armed forces, brave British soldiers and airmen, it surely should be a consensus point.
The government starts organizing evacuations to rescue British citizens stuck in the Middle East. And the immediate thought that pops into my head is, the guy was actually making a good point, you know? And hold on, how are these people not paying taxes, not financially contributing to the country anymore, but now the military, funded by taxpayers, is being used to save them? They moved their wealth abroad specifically to... Oh my god, 1 second guys. Holy shiz! What is going on here? This gun is actually pretty good, man. The rev, it's revving. My engine's being revving. Okay, you're deleted, and you got deleted too. On the roofless Cena, baby. You know what? We're cooking right now. But yeah, like, and the politically, what the governments are going to say is, well, they're still our citizens, and it's also like, for example, when things go south, for example, the same system they opted out of is expected to show them and protect them. And politically, governments will say, well, they're still our citizens, and from a PR standpoint, it makes sense. It looks terrible if you just abandon your citizens overseas, even if they left the country to avoid contributing financially. The government still feels pressure to help because technically, they're still part of the nation. Does it make perfect sense? Not really. Is it logical? Not entirely. But the argument is that leaving them behind would be inhumane. And what I did just now was inhumane, because how the hell did we get a nuke right here? I've given them the Iran Okay, you know what? It's a very sensitive time. I should stop making jokes like that, or dark jokes. Even though dark humor is my shit. Every time I hear one and it's actually pretty good, I jizz my okay, yeah, I'm going off topic now. But yeah, here's a counter argument on the other side, yeah? If you left the country specifically to avoid paying taxes, why should you still benefit from the services funded by those same taxes? Because that's the whole point of taxes in the first place, don't you agree, guys? That guy got absolutely... Oh, I'm loving the wall jump in this game. But yeah, we pay taxes so that the government can provide infrastructure, defense, emergency services, and protection, you know? So if you decide, oh, I'm going to move somewhere else to avoid paying into that system, then should you still expect that system to show up and rescue you, you know? One second. I kind of did not expect to get a nuclear. This is literally my first game on of the day, and I'm just trying to make a commentary. I'm just practicing. But I don't think I need to do it again, or I need to record this commentary again, because god damn! This is looking very, very good. I bugged out, but yeah. Let's call in this tactical nuke because I think it's getting really close. It's 6-6, it's a draw, and I might zone out because someone might accidentally cap or not cap, so yeah, I might as well call it in. Bada bim, bada boom, a tactical nuclear with the mastery camo that I just recently unlocked because I have not played Black Ops 7 consistently over the last couple of months, okay? I've been slacking. And it's not my fault, right guys? It's not my fault. This game is just boring. But yeah, some people argue the issue isn't that simple because there are legal ways to avoid taxes. So if a regular person avoids taxes, they should go to jail. But if a rich person avoids taxes using accountants and loopholes, suddenly it's considered clever financial planning. And that's just the reality of how people see it. And avoid taxes like a poor person is crime. Avoid taxes like a rich person, strategy, 100% stonks. But that shit still doesn't solve the core problem. If you opt out financially, should you still receive the benefits? And the clip that I showed you guys earlier was actually a British politician talking about this exact issue. His argument was basically, yes, we should rescue them because they're British citizens, but if they're benefiting from British military protection and government services, then they should also be paying taxes towards these services. And honestly, that's not a crazy idea. In fact, the United States already does something similar. If you're an American citizen living abroad, you still have to pay taxes on your worldwide income. It doesn't matter where you really live. And if you want the American passport and the benefits that come with it, embassies, consulates, rescue operations, you're still contributing financially. And I think that system makes sense because this whole tax haven thing is kind of nasty when you really think about it. Like, people complain about taxes non-stop, then they move somewhere with almost zero taxes so they can keep as much money as possible. And then when something bad happens, suddenly it's like, please help us, government. Please, can you spare a penny for this poor old soul? But you wanted to escape the system. That was the whole point. And now personally, I'm not even saying we should just leave people behind. My real issue is the loopholes themselves. If the rules were tighter, this whole situation wouldn't really exist in the first place. Like, when I pay my taxes, I don't do it thinking the system is perfect. Of course it's not. But I do it with the understanding that those funds support infrastructure, emergency services, defense systems, and relief efforts when disasters happen. And that's the social contract. But if someone opts out of that contract financially to save money and then turning around and relying on the same system, feels weird. And here's the irony. Tax havens often have fewer public services. That's part of the deal. Lower taxes usually means fewer safety nets, and people knowingly accept that trade-off. But then when a crisis happens, suddenly they expect the safety net from the country they left, and that's what bothers people, you know? Now, one second. Ah la 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 la. Yeah. But yeah, another big issue is just how much money governments lose through tax avoidance. Corporations move headquarters around, they use legal loopholes, and suddenly billions in profit generate zero tax revenue. Meanwhile, regular people are expected to pay their share, and it always feels like the system squeezes the lower and the middle classes the hardest, while the wealthiest people have the most ways to avoid contributing. Let's take this poor guys. Imagine this guy is the government. Or just what is happening? Oh, it's glitched. It's glitched. We just basically humped the freaking door. Okay, baby. There we go. Another unstoppable. Yo, this first half has not even finished. What am I doing? Okay, I'm dead. I'm dead. Yeah, dead slides. 43-1 is crazy, you know? But yeah, I mean, it always feels like the system squeezes the lower and middle classes the hardest, while the wealthiest people have the most ways to avoid contributing. And there's even a perfect metaphor for this, you know? But yeah, I think I'm just gonna pull in the nuke, you know? Yeah, it's a wrap. It's a wrap. Oh, guys, do you see something familiar on my optic, my sight? Yes, it's a target finder from BO2. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work, but I think it depends on if the enemy has cold-blooded on or not. Oh my god, you're gonna get gold start. You're actually gonna gold start. But yeah, what was I talking about earlier? Yeah, it always feels like the system squeezes the lower and middle classes the hardest, and there's even a perfect metaphor for this. We're all out here drinking our drinks with those terrible soggy paper straws that dissolve in your mouth because we're trying to save the planet. Meanwhile, giant corporations are polluting on a massive scale and dumping toxic waste wherever they want. And the average person is told to recycle, compost, reduce plastic, while the biggest polluters get massive tax breaks because they bring jobs. So it ends up feeling like regular people are always the ones asked to sacrifice. And now personally, one of the reasons I appreciate living where I live is stability. I don't have to worry about civil war breaking out or living next to a country that might suddenly start bombing us. And people have asked me before if I'd move somewhere else, Dubai, you know, places where my money would go much further. And I was actually thinking before this whole thing happened, but now I'm gonna chill here for a bit, I can say. And the answer is always the same, no. Because I've lived through instability before. I've lived in places where, well, technically I didn't live, but I visited and stayed for months where there was unrest happening, and where checkpoints appear overnight, and where people pick up guns and conflict explodes quickly. And when things are good in those places, life can be amazing. If I moved somewhere like to Somalia with the income I have now, I'd live like a king, multiple houses, guards, staff, the whole thing. But I also know how quickly things can fall apart. Everything is great until it isn't. And when it stops being great, it gets bad fast, like overnight. And so when people move to tax havens to enjoy all the benefits without contributing back home, it feels strange when they expect none of the downsides. You want the dessert every night, then eventually you get diabetes. That's the trade-off. You want to live like royalty somewhere? Cool, but if another king shows up and the region becomes unstable, that's part of the deal too. And another thing people underestimate is how powerful a good passport is. Like seriously, having a strong passport it's the biggest privileges you can have in life. It's up there with financial security, health and safety. And it opens the entire world to you, and you don't really appreciate that until you've lived somewhere where travel is extremely restricted, you know? And people born in powerful countries with powerful passports don't realize how lucky they are. I'm also lucky, but if you travel with friends with weaker passports, you see it immediately. Like, yeah, you breeze through immigration while they stand in a different line for hours. And that's why I'm actually grateful my parents sent me back to Somalia for like 2 months. They disguise it as like a holiday, but we have a term called Dagan Ellis, so basically it's like for all those badly behaved kids in Europe, you know, it's to go back to their roots, back to their cultures to fix their mentality. Well, technically that didn't happen. I was chilling in Dubai and then they said, oh, let's go to Somalia for holidays. And we stayed longer than I thought. But yeah, I mean, that happened when I was younger. But even though I still had my British and Dutch passport, living there let me see what life looked like for people who didn't have these kind of privileges. And I'm very grateful for that.